Hi everybody, this is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com, and how you doing? My flu is gone, but my cough and cold is here for a little while longer, so I'm afraid you'll have to bear with my sort of scratchy, hoarse voice for maybe another video or two. I'm not so sure. Anyway, February has been an interesting month so far. And well, today I have a pretty interesting spread for you. Well, actually, to be honest, I wanted to do a very simple spread. And so I sat down, and I was kind of just writing it down on a post-it. And I said, hey, you know what? I know what I'm going to do with this spread, and I'm going to show you what you can do with a very basic 3-card spread. And then if you know, depending on the client's question, if you want to take it further, what it is that you can do. So this is a spread example and a practical example all kind of rolled in one. And of course, the theme of the month being romance, and as you can see, I'm using my Victorian Romantic Tarot deck. This is, I believe, the second edition. The spread that I will also be doing is a romance related spread. So I'm gonna go shuffle my deck and everything, and I will be right back. So the spread that I want to do for you today, it's actually a pretty simple spread. It's a 3-card spread, at least it's gonna start out that way. And basically person 1, person 2, and their connection. See, many a times, especially if you're a professional reader, we get clients walk in or who call us or want to do a reading with us, and they're like, oh, I just met this guy or I just met this girl, and and I have this very strong feeling or connection about her, and I mean, I feel this, I feel that. I mean, I'm not so sure what the connection is between us. Can you tell us what the connection is between us? This is simple. So that's kind of where the spread originated. Person 1, person 2, and the connection. But then, of course, you can take it a little bit further, because once you get talking, there's a lot more that comes up. So today, I'm not going to do a reading for anybody in particular. This is just very random, not anything specific. So I'm not going to kind of, meditate or anything. I'm just going to make the fan, which is going to be a challenge because I've got this camera stand and everything right in front of me. So I'm going to make the fan. I'm going to keep it there because, I mean, you'll get in a bit. All right, so I know you guys didn't see me make the fan, right? That's okay. So person 1, you pull 1 card. So this is, person 1 can very well be your client. All right, so this is your client, and this is the other person that they are having the question about. That's person 2, and what's their connection? Here you go. All right, this is the card, and I know you're probably seeing this shiny bit as I move the card up. That's because I'm experimenting with lighting, and so there's light. Instead, normally the light source is over there in that direction and that direction. This time I've moved the light. This one is kind of permanent, so I've moved that one to this direction, so you have a shining thing there. I know. Okay, so let me see this. This is the middle card, which is the connection card. So person 1, and we have 8 of Swords. So this is your client. This is your client. And 8 of Swords is usually in your traditional Rider-Waite deck or imagery. You see the woman and she's surrounded by 8 swords. And here you see this woman, her hands are tied, and she's kind of waiting near a port, right? So just looking at this imagery, right? And she's kind of looking so expectantly. Look at that face. She's kind of, oh, someone maybe will come and rescue me, or who knows what adventure lies beyond this point. It's an interesting story. You can just totally dive right into this image and come up with very, very interesting stories here. But the first off, the moment you kind of you open this card, the first thing that I kind of got from this image is the client, this is person one, is kind of waiting for something. She's her hands are tied. She's not necessarily someone who will take charge or who will chase the other person perhaps, but she's waiting perhaps for some sort of a rescue. And I'm not talking about an actual rescue, I'm talking about an imaginary or in her head kind of a situation where she's like, I'm stranded, I'm trapped, and I kind of know where I want to go, but I'm somehow not able to make up my mind. So I want someone else to come do that for me. That is the kind of energy that this Eight of Swords gives out. So that's the kind of energy the client brings it into the situation, right? Because this is person one is your client. And so she's waiting for the other person, this person, to make the move, to show the interest, and to actually actively kind of take her out of her life's situation, and sort of change her life for her, because she's waiting for that sort of, she is the damsel in distress, and she kind of wants the knight in shining armor to come and sort of rescue her. That's her energy. So person two is the Queen of Swords reversed. Oh, look at that. Let me make the card upright so you can see. This Queen of Swords, look at her. She's kind of got this very harsh, very clear sort of approach to in her demeanor, in her very nature. She's like, I'm kind of, once I make up my mind, I go after it. I chase it down. She's actually kind of in the upright anyhow, the ideal person that this one is looking for. Someone who once has made up their mind can totally, do what is required. But she came up reverse, so she's kind of confused. That's her energy now. One, because upright, she's very clear-headed, right? Reversed, she's not. So this person right here, the other person, isn't necessarily completely sure about what they want from this relationship, or whether she wants to actually go be the knight in shining armor, whether this person wants to go rescue this person. They aren't 100% sure of what they want from the other person or from the relationship. So they're kind of in that very confused space right now. But again, forgive me, relationships and readings are pretty dynamic. Things can change all the time. So this doesn't necessarily mean that this is how the picture is right here, right now. So this doesn't necessarily mean that this is how it will be forever. This can change. This pretty dynamic, right? So what's their connection? Ooh, isn't this the sorry, isn't this the picture from the cover of the box? This is a Temperance card. Here you go, upright, this card, Temperance. This is all about transformation. This is all about balance. This is all about kind of rising to the next level, evolving, that kind of a thing. But this card comes up reverse. So there is a definite imbalance there. And I mean, even if we hadn't, say, opened this card, we would have definitely known that, right? She has that whole I'm the damsel in distress energy, this person, and come rescue me, because I'm not going to rescue myself. And this one is, I would have come and rescued you, but I'm not necessarily sure if I want to rescue you or I want to be that knight in shining armor. That's this person's energy. And so between the two of them, their connection is very aptly shown here in this Temperance card reversed as, something that is not necessarily very balanced. Because had this been upright, maybe then there would be a balance, yeah, because this is what she wants, this is what this other person can give, and there's a match there. But there is an imbalance there, there's a disconnect there. And and perhaps this connection, because this card is all about growth and transformation, but in the reverse it signals that perhaps if this connection does happen, that growth and that transformation might not necessarily kind of happen. There might be a blockage there. There might be, because this is kind of like, I don't know, codependent behavior on some level, uh, right? So this connection may not necessarily be a good one. Let's kind of say that, because should that connection happen, the growth, the transformation, the evolution will kind of be blocked, will be stymied, for want of a better word. Now, great as this spread is, let's say the discussion between you and your client goes on a little bit further, and maybe they are already in a relationship and your client wants to know a little bit more. Let's say, now let's go variation number one. Let's say she wants to know that, okay, we are all, let's say, given this situation, given this being all accurate, your client says, no, but we are in a relationship. So now what I want to know is, I want to know what our strengths and our weaknesses are. And because we've already seen a lot of that strength and weakness angle here, but she wants to really, really get down into it and say, what what are our strong points, what are our weak points. And then, of course, we can say, okay, let's do that. So let's see, what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, right? And of course, the next step is how to expand those strengths. There you go. And how to reduce those weaknesses within their relationship. All right. So these are the strengths. We have 8 of Cups reversed, right? Look at this. Normally, the 8 of Cups, she's, look at her. She's put all the cups, that's feelings, that's emotions. This dog also represents devotion. Dogs are very devoted. And even though she is devoted, she walks away, right? She is not happy, she's sad. But for whatever reason, she's putting all of her feelings aside. And even though she is devoted, she kind of walks away. Reverse. So this is their strength. Their strength is, despite all of this, for whatever reason, they will not leave each other. They will not walk away from each other. Their devotion is so strong that regardless of maybe the fact that this is not necessarily a balanced relationship or not something that will help them really grow, they are pretty devoted to each other and they will not kind of walk away from each other. That is their biggest strength. And the biggest weakness here is 4 of Wands, right? Now, normally 4 of Wands is the card of celebration. There is a kind of a celebration going on, but to me, this card talks more about fanfare, this kind of like an advertisement. The biggest weakness is that they like to show off their relationship. They kind of portray their relationship like an advertisement for, oh, look, we are so amazing. That's the kind of energy that this card is giving me. So that is their biggest weakness, that for them, that sorry, for them, their relationship is more about the fanfare than the actual part of it. I mean, the strengths are there, but then this part also is their biggest weakness. So how can they kind of expand those strengths, give them more power? And we have the Ace of Cups, but reversed, right? Now, Ace of Cups, if you can see, these are 2 lovers meeting in a very joyful sort of union kind of energy there. Reverse, right? I'm sensing that this codependency, which this relationship is talking about, they need to kind of separate, not necessarily break up, but in order for their devotion to really grow, they need to stop being so codependent on each other. And that is one way to really expand their devotion, that biggest strength that the relationship actually has. And to reduce the weakness, here we have the 9 of Pentacles reversed, right? 9 of Pentacles is the the independent lady. She's happy on her own, kind of. But now in the reverse, She doesn't necessarily have a long-term picture. So in order for them to reduce their weakness, they need to really think about the long-term picture. They're not necessarily thinking about the long-term picture here. They need to kind of uh rediscover their individuality. They kind of, it kind of ties in here with this also. They need to rediscover their individuality. The reason that perhaps they need to, or they feel the need to do so much fanfare about their relationship is because they are not necessarily secure in who and what they are individually, and so they feel the need to, kind of bandy their relationship about or show it off to the world, like, oh look, we are such an amazing couple. No need, individually you all are amazing people. Together you have that core of devotion with it. Just you need to change the dynamics around a little bit, right? Yeah, that's what this is. So strengths and weaknesses. Now this is a good angle. This is a great angle to kind of look into the relationship. But there's another angle. That's variation number 2 that we're going to look at for this spread, and that is, now, given this relationship, there's bound to be, guess what? Hurdles. So going forward, what are the hurdles of this relationship? Okay, that's what we're going to look at. And of course, how to overcome those hurdles. All right, simple, straightforward, right? So now we know, to do a quick recap. Person 1 is kind of, I'm a damsel in distress, please rescue me. And this one is, I'm not so sure if I want to be the rescuer or if you're the one I want to rescue. And the connection here is that of kind of imbalance that kind of blocks individual or, any kind of sort of growth or evolution. So obviously the hurdle here and how to overcome the hurdle. So let's see what the hurdle comes up as. Knight of Pentacles. Check it out. This is a very interesting card, actually. If you see this Knight of Pentacles, he comes across as a very sort of, dependable, romantic fellow. But she's also very, very, loving towards him, expressively. She's expressing her love towards him, and he's kind of, I like it. So this is the hurdle here, that imbalance, I would say, kind of shows up here. That while she is very expressive and she shows her love and her devotion towards him, he's more like, a passive sort of receiver of that affection. He doesn't necessarily show his affection towards her so readily as she does. And in that sense, this becomes the hurdle, the kind of imbalance in a way of depicting or showing one's affection for each other. That is the biggest hurdle of their relationship. And in order to conquer that, the cards that, in order to overcome that hurdle, we have 5 of Swords reversed. 5 of Swords, we know, is the card of quarrels and arguments. And these guys are kind of arguing like children, you can see, because, children. So reversed, they need to not get into an argument, but they need to really definitely get their thoughts, perhaps suppressed resentments, they need to kind of get that out of them, out of their minds, out of their heads, and sort of talk it out with each other. They need to have a discussion, and they need to be very clear, because maybe over a period of time there will be issues in both their minds about various things that'll crop up. And so, the status quo will become the hurdle, and they need to talk about it. They need to get that out in a non-argumentative kind of way, and they need to have a discussion, and they need to get it out of their system, because the more they hold it inside of them, the more it's going to be something that festers and simmers and ultimately blows up like a volcano, right? We've seen that happen, all of us, in various relationships, haven't we? So yeah, this is variation 2. So now variation 3 is kind of where I'm going to combine everything. So let's see. Hurdles. Oh gosh. Strengths and how to grow them, weaknesses and how to reduce them. I know you probably can't see it because these cards are big and they don't fit in the frame. So let me see if I can. Oh, this is as far as my camera stand will go. Okay. All right, let's see. I hope you can see the spread there, right? So this is how the spread has kind of, grown from a basic 3-card spread. This is the first variation, this is the second variation, and you can actually do an entire spread, putting it all together, right? Miss Damsel in Distress wants Knight in Shining Armor. Knight in Shining Armor is not necessarily sure if he wants to be the Knight in Shining Armor. Their connection is one which is a pretty, kind of unbalanced one, which doesn't allow for individual growth or even growth as a couple, and kind of, so there's a bit of a blockage there. However, the biggest strength is their devotion for each other. And in order to grow that strength, they need to kind of not be so codependent upon each other. They need to kind of maybe grow as individuals, because although they like to do a lot of fanfare about how awesome their relationship is, the best way for them to genuinely rediscover even themselves, maybe they're perfect for each other, as long as they stop doing this, whatever they're doing, and they need to rediscover their own individuality, that will actually perhaps bring them a lot closer, right? Because in this relationship, one person is demonstrative and the other one is pretty passive, and so there's going to be a lot of resentments that are going to be building up over a period of time. So the only way to kind of overcome that is to get those resentments out into the open and talk about it, discuss it, get it out, and kind of share, so in a non-threatening, non-argumentative way, and sort of bring it out and discuss and talk and see how things go. Wow. I know these have been total random cards, not a specific reading for anybody, and I know it's definitely not been a romantic reading, but let me assure you, most relationships are pretty not ideal the way they come up, and especially in readings that we do. So this to me looks like a very real sort of a relationship, and although it's not all hearts and flowers, these are real issues and real problems that people do face, that do show up in readings when you do them. So just look at the picture, form the story, and go with it. And even if you start out with a very basic 3-card spread, you can just keep that spread going, expanding in the direction that your client wants the questions go, and then you can just expand upon that spread like the way we did right now, and really sorry, and really build the story and come up with some the cards obviously can come up with some really great guidance, some really great advice, and some really actionable sort of path guidance for the future, for the path ahead, for the reading that you are doing. I seriously hope that you guys have enjoyed the spread that I have done, this variation 1, variation 2, and then the third variation where I put it all together. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me what if it made sense, if the reading made sense, if the interpretation made sense, if you've got a different version or a different interpretation that you would like to sort of make for the spread. Talk to me in the comment section. If you like this video, please definitely go for it. Click the like button so I know whether you like the video or not, and so then I can continue making more and more videos like this, with different spreads and different approaches to doing readings, perhaps even and using different cards and seeing how we can use the card story method to actually get into the image and figure out the story and start interpreting them, not just right away, but other decks as well. And I like that. I like how each deck has its own sort of interpretation. The imagery opens up for you as you go along. Also, every month or so, I send out a newsletter, and where I kind of bring it all together, where I talk about the videos I did for the month. I have some little bit of content, blog posts, everything. So, if you would like to receive my newsletter, there's the link will be in the description box below the video. Go right ahead and sign up. Make sure you update your preferences so you get the kind of newsletters that you want, not all the stuff that I send out. So if I'm running any special offers, you don't get bombarded. If that's the kind of stuff you don't want to see, right? All right, so then I guess I will see you again in my next video. All right, until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.